everybody, what's up? It's Nicole, and in today's video I wanted to talk about something that I actually feel pretty passionate about, and it is who contributed the most to the Fellowship of the Ring. So I was about 10 years old when the first movie of the Lord of the Rings came out, and I remember specifically seeing it with my aunt because we just wanted to go to a movie on a random Friday night, and ever since then I was in love, obsessed with Lord of the Rings, kind of reading about the lore of the Lord of the Rings, and just I've watched them 1,000,001 times. I've have the extended editions on DVD, and yeah, however, I do have to say that I have not read the books. I have tried many a times to read the books, but it's just too dense. At least I think maybe for the time and the age that I was at the time that I tried to read the books, it might have been a little too dense for me, so I have been recently thinking about trying to read them again. But anyways, that's besides the point. In today's video, I want to rank each character in based off of who I think contributed the most to the Fellowship of the Ring and destroying the ring. I'll discuss it later on, but I have very strong opinions about this, specifically about who I think contributed the most to destroying the ring. And just to say real quick too, I'm going to be rating the person who did the least to the person who did the most. So I'm starting off with who I think did the least, and then I'm going to end with who I think contributed the most to the Fellowship of the Ring. So, number 9 right now. I don't think it's any surprise, but the person I'm going to rate who did the least amount of work for the Fellowship of the Ring was Boromir. And obviously this is because he died fairly early on. I think in him joining the Fellowship of the Ring, he did possibly have good intentions with it. I think he did actually want to use it to help in his kingdom. But I feel like, of course, he's again a prime example of what the ring can do to men and destroying them, kind of. He did obviously want to take the ring from Frodo, and I think because he felt bad about this later on, that's when he kind of did all he could in order to try and save Merry and Pippin. But as we all know, it did not go according to plan, or he did not succeed in that endeavor, unfortunately. I would hope that if he had continued on in the Fellowship and trying to destroy the ring, I think he could have possibly contributed more. But I think, again, he probably would have, regardless, kind of taken a back seat to the other leaders in the group. Number 8 is Gimli. Now, I know he's a pretty cool character. You know, he got an axe. He says funny things. But I feel like in the films, at least, that's all his character kind of did, was just kind of create some type of comic relief for the group. He didn't actually do anything specifically for them. It was kind of just him tagging along with the group. He was kind of more just Legolas's sidekick and buddy and friend. So, I mean, I think out of everything, at least he created a friendship with an elf who he kind of hated the whole beginning of the movie. But all in all, what I'm trying to get at is that I feel like Gimli didn't do enough. He didn't do anything. I don't know. I feel like he never suggested anything to the group to help them out in any way. So that's why I gave him number 8. I mean, okay, so the next person I have on my list is Pippin. Now, I was a little conflicted on whether or not I wanted to put Pippin in this spot. But I think the reason I decided to go ahead and put him in the number 7 spot is because I feel like he kind of got himself in more trouble than he did in actually helping anybody out. I mean, in the Two Towers, when he was told not to look at the orb, he still kind of went for that orb and looked at it against Gandalf's suggestion, and he then kind of gave out some details to Sauron through that orb that he wasn't supposed to. Also, what is that orb called? I don't know what the hell the orb's called. I'm just calling it an orb. Yeah, I know he kind of also did do some things to benefit. Like, I know he helped Faramir not get killed by his father. He put a stop to that, which was good. But I don't know, I just kind of felt like he didn't really do much in general other than kind of be a goofball again. The next person on my list is Legolas. Now, I know Legolas is a totally badass character. He looks really cool doing all his little bow and arrow type of stuff. But I feel like he's kind of like Gimli in that he didn't actually really contribute anything much to the group. Other than I feel like he had a really good sense of loyalty. I could definitely tell that he was someone that was very loyal to Aragorn. The 5th person on my list is Merry. I feel like, again, even though he was kind of like Pippin and that he was a little bit more goofy character in the beginning, I feel like once things really got serious, he kind of was really wanting to contribute to the group. He, you know, convinced the Ents to take action, and he also joined Eowyn in battle, and I feel like especially the way that other soldiers kind of looked down on him and felt like he couldn't do anything, I feel like even though that was kind of against him, he still persevered, and he was, you know what, I'm going to do whatever I can to help out. Even though I'm a small person, I'm only one person, I still want to help out in destroying this ring because it's important for me and my people as well. Fourth on my list, now this is definitely where I had a very difficult time in deciding what order I was going to put people in. Not everyone, there's my one person that I have on the top of my list is someone I've had on the top of my list for a very long time, but from 4 to number 1 is kind of where I really had a difficult time in deciding. So for the next person on this list is Aragorn. I think Aragorn was very different from Boromir in the sense that Boromir kind of showed the weakness of men and Aragorn showed the strength of men. He was not only a good fighter, he was also a good leader. You know, he led the fellowship pretty much, even though I know him and he was kind of separated from Frodo and Sam, obviously. But I think when he was separated, the group of people he was with, he was very much the leader of that group. He was a leader in other ways, like when he convinced Theoden to fight for his people. And I just think that's just, again, a great quality, and especially someone who deserves to be king. Third on my list is, of course, Gandalf. And again, I love me some Gandalf. Not only is he just a cool character, and he's, you know, he's a wizard, he can do cool wizard things. He's also very good in battle and can fight. But I think he was very integral to the story just in general. Of course, he's the one who kind of crosses paths with Bilbo and Frodo and realizes that they are in possession of the ring. But I feel like he's also an integral part in making characters realize their potential. He very much from the beginning believed in the capabilities of hobbits. And I also liked, I feel like in the movies at least, he always showed up at the precise right moments where someone needed to be saved or anything like that. And I don't know, just cinematically that was very fun for me as well. Alrighty, now my last two people. You already know who those two people are. It's either Frodo or Sam. And so for number 2 on my list, it's gonna be Frodo. I have a little bit of a beef with Frodo in that I feel like people give him way too much credit for the things that he did in the whole film series. Yes, he obviously was important. He's the one who carried the freaking ring and did that journey. But I feel like he was also kind of consumed by the power of the ring. Obviously, we've seen the end. He's kind of turns back on what he was originally supposed to be doing, and he decides he wants to keep the ring. And yeah, just overall, I just feel like people think, oh, you know, he carried the ring, so that means he was like immune to its powers and he was able to, you know, like do all this stuff. But it's like, no. He couldn't have done that without the person with him. And he also relied on Gollum a lot to help him find the way. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like, yes, again, Frodo did a lot, but he didn't do the most, and he wasn't as strong as people think he was. My number 1 spot, obviously, it goes to Sam. Now, I have been fighting for Sam to get his recognition for years now. I feel like whenever I talk to someone about Lord of the Rings, I always have to mention, hey, Sam did the most work and he is underappreciated in the series. I feel like he has seemed like someone that is kind of weak because he has emotions and he is like, you know, always kind of following Frodo around. But no, he was actually the true hero of this story. So from the beginning, obviously, Sam, he was a little reluctant to go on the journey, but I think because he was entrusted, or he was kind of forced by Gandalf a little bit to go on the journey, he was like, okay, this is my mission now. I have to kind of do this because Gandalf is telling me to do this, and because I want Frodo, you know, to survive and be successful in his endeavor. Sam was always there to give encouraging words to Frodo. You know, he was always hopeful and he always kind of knew that they were going to have a journey back. And I think obviously Frodo was very bleak and he didn't, of course, believe that there was going to be a journey home, but Sam was always hopeful. He is also rightfully wary of Gollum. He was, you know, he didn't believe that Gollum was who he said he was or couldn't be trusted as Frodo trusted in him, because he just had that good, you know, he didn't get the vibes right. And then, even though Frodo is like, you know, when Frodo basically ditches Sam and he's like, oh yeah, you did all this stuff for me? Well, I'm gonna ditch you because you threw some elven bread over the cliff and lied about it because Gollum told me you lied. Well, even though he ditched Sam, Sam still stuck around and was like, you know what? I know Frodo ditched me and was mean to me, but I'm going to follow him because I know that he needs me because he is my friend and I don't want to give up on him. Which is a good thing because Frodo ended up freaking spider food. Because Frodo was seemingly spider food, of course Sam, he takes the ring because he's like, okay, I got to complete this mission on my own because Frodo is obviously incapable because I think he's dead. And I know there was an instant where when Frodo was asking for the ring back, it seemed like Sam hesitated, but honestly, I don't think it was Sam hesitating. I think Sam was worried that if he gave the ring back to Frodo, that Frodo would again kind of be distrustful, kind of not who he really is, you know, like how the ring was basically destroying him. I think that is where that hesitation came from and why Sam was so hesitant to give the ring to Frodo. But to me, it's kind of funny because I feel like Sam was the only one who was truly not interested in the ring and didn't really want to use it for like good or bad, as a lot of the other people who were affected by the ring were. And then of course we have to mention the last thing is that he literally carries Frodo up the mountain to the volcano to destroy the ring. Oh, actually not last thing. I have one more last thing. I think I think Sam is probably the only one, well maybe not the only one, I think Pippin was also kind of chill after the events of the ring, but I think Sam was definitely, even after all the events happened, he didn't let any of what happened affect him, I guess, in the same way that it affected Frodo. Obviously, Frodo was a little PTSD from all the stuff that happened, but Sam went on and he lived a good life. You know, he got married, he had some kids, and yeah, he just lived out his days in the Shire. So I feel like overall, again, Sam is the hero of the story, and everyone has to believe me on that. But yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on the whole Fellowship of the Ring and who contributed the most. I hope other people can now see that Sam was the real hero of this series and this fellowship, because he deserves the recognition. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.